Have you ever replayed the same conversation in your head over and over again? You get home, lie in bed, and suddenly your brain decides to bring back something you said 6 hours ago. Maybe it was a joke that didn't land. Maybe you stumbled over your words. Maybe you think you sounded awkward. Or maybe nothing actually happened at all. But your mind convinces you that everyone noticed. Everyone remembers. Everyone is judging you. So you replay it again and again, changing what you should have said, imagining how the conversation would have gone if you chose different words, wondering whether people see you differently now. The strange thing is, most of the people you're worrying about have probably forgotten the conversation already, but somehow you can't. And I think almost everyone overthinks. Some people overthink relationships, some overthink their future, some overthink every decision they make. Some overthink things that haven't even happened yet. It doesn't really matter what your mind chooses to focus on. Once it starts, it feels impossible to stop. And I think that's because overthinking doesn't feel like overthinking when you're doing it. It feels like solving a problem. It feels productive. It feels responsible. Your brain tells you, if I think about this just for a little bit longer, I'll finally figure it out. But have you ever noticed that you almost never reach that point? You don't find certainty, you just find another question. That's what makes overthinking so exhausting. It promises answers, but usually creates more uncertainty. One thought becomes two, two becomes 10, 10 becomes 100. Until something that took 5 seconds to happen ends up living in your head for the next 5 days. I think our brains do this because they're trying to protect us. Imagine thousands of years ago. If our ancestors ignored danger, they didn't survive for very long. The people who constantly looked for problems, noticed danger first, they questioned things, they stayed alert, and because of that, they survived. Our brains haven't forgotten that. They're still trying to protect us. The problem is, most of the dangers we face today aren't wild animals or life-threatening situations. They're social. They're emotional. Instead of asking, is that animal dangerous? Our brains ask, what if they don't like me? What if I fail? What if I embarrass myself? What if I make the wrong decision? What if everyone notices? The survival instincts stayed the same, only the threats changed. And that's why overthinking often feels impossible to switch off. Your brain doesn't think it's making your life harder. It thinks it's keeping you safe. Every scenario it imagines, every possibility it considers, every mistake it replays, is all happening because somewhere deep inside, your mind believes it's protecting you from pain. But sometimes, the protection becomes more painful than the thing you're trying to avoid. Think about how many moments overthinking has stolen from you. Maybe you wanted to talk to someone, but you spent so long imagining everything that could go wrong that you never said anything. Maybe you wanted to post something online, then you imagined what people might think, so you deleted it. Maybe you wanted to try something new, apply for the job, join the team, start the business, ask someone out, but before you even had the chance to fail, your mind convinced you not to try. Not because you weren't capable, but because you imagined failure so vividly that it felt real. I think that's one of the biggest lies overthinking tells us. It convinces us that thinking about something is the same as preparing for it, but they're completely different. Preparing leads to action. Overthinking delays it. The more you think, the harder it becomes to move. Because every decision suddenly feels permanent. Every choice feels like it has to be perfect. Every mistake feels catastrophic. So instead of choosing, you wait. Not because you're lazy, but because you're scared of choosing wrong. I don't think people overthink because they're weak. I think they overthink because they care. They care about getting it right. They care about what people think. They care about making the right impression. They care about not hurting people. They care about not being hurt themselves. The problem is, when caring becomes excessive, your thoughts stop helping you. They start controlling you. Have you ever noticed how different your thoughts become at night? Something that seemed completely normal during the day suddenly feels huge. A message you could have sent starts looking different. A conversation starts sounding worse. You begin imagining situations that haven't happened, creating arguments that don't exist, preparing for problems that may never come. The room is quiet. There's nothing distracting you anymore. So your brain finally has space to speak. And unfortunately, it rarely chooses peace. The strange thing is, overthinking doesn't just affect big moments. It quietly slips into ordinary ones too. You reread texts before sending them. You delete messages because they sounded weird. You wonder if you used too many emojis or not enough. You question whether someone sounded different today, whether that full stop meant something, whether they're annoyed, whether you should message first, whether you should wait. Whether waiting too long looks like you don't care. It's exhausting. Not because any single thought is overwhelming, but because they never seem to stop. And maybe that's the hardest part, because seeing someone who's quiet, someone who's hesitant, someone who takes a long time to decide, what they don't see is the 100 conversations already happening inside the person's mind. Every possibility, every outcome, every mistake, every fear. Overthinking is invisible, which is why so many people carry it without anyone else realizing. But here's the question that changed the way I started looking at it. What if overthinking isn't actually caused by thinking too much? What if it's caused by something much deeper? Because if that's true, then maybe the solution isn't to think less. Maybe it's to understand why your mind feels the need to think so much in the first place. And I think that's where this conversation really begins. I think one of the biggest reasons we overthink is because deep down, most of us are searching for one thing: certainty. We want to know that everything will be okay. We want to know that the person we care about won't leave. We want to know that the decision we're making is the right one. We want to know that the people see us the way we hope they do. But the problem is, life doesn't give us that guarantee. And when our brains can't find certainty, they try to create it. That's why we replay conversations. That's why we analyze people's reactions. That's why we think about every possible outcome. Our minds are trying to answer questions that sometimes don't have answers. Did they mean that? Did they actually like me? Did I say something wrong? What if things change? What if I lose this person? What if I regret this? The brain keeps searching because it believes that if it thinks long enough, eventually it will find the answer. But sometimes the answer doesn't exist. Sometimes there is no perfect explanation. Sometimes you have to accept that you won't know everything. And that's one of the hardest things for an overthinker to accept. Because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. Not knowing feels like danger. Your mind would rather create a painful possibility than sit with an unknown one. At least if there's a problem, you can prepare for it. At least if something goes wrong in your imagination, you feel like you've already experienced it. But the problem is, you end up suffering from things that never even happened. Think about how many times you worried about a conversation before it happened. You imagine what you're going to say. You imagine what they might say. You imagine how you respond. You create an entire story in your head. Then the actual conversation happens, and it's completely normal. Nothing bad happens. Nobody thinks you're weird. Nobody judges you. The situation you spent hours preparing for never even existed, but the emotions were real. Your brain reacted to an imaginary situation like it was a real one. I think this happens most often when we care about something, especially people. Because the more something matters to us, the more power our thoughts have over us. A random person's opinion might not bother you. But someone you care about, a friend, a partner, somebody you want approval from, suddenly every little detail feels important. A shorter reply, a different tone, a change in behavior. Something small becomes something your mind investigates. And this is where overthinking can become painful. Because instead of experiencing relationships, we start analyzing them. Instead of enjoying a conversation, we're studying it. Instead of listening to what someone is saying, we're trying to figure out what they really mean. We stop being present because our mind is somewhere else, trying to predict, trying to prevent, trying to protect ourselves. I think a lot of people don't realize how much their past affects their overthinking, because sometimes your mind isn't reacting to what's happening now, it's reacting to what happened before. If you've ever been rejected, ignored, disappointed, left behind, your brain remembers. And even when something new comes along, a part of you is still trying to protect yourself from experiencing that pain again. It's like your brain creates a warning system. Last time this happened, it hurt. So let's make sure it never happens again. The intention is good. Your mind is trying to help. But sometimes it becomes too sensitive. It starts seeing threats that weren't any at all. It starts treating possibilities like facts. Someone takes longer to reply. Your brain says they're losing interest. Someone seems quieter than usual. Your brain says, I'm not important. But the reality is, there could be 100 different explanations. They could be tired, busy, distracted, having their own problems. But overthinking usually chooses that explanation that hurts the most. And I think that's why overthinking and insecurity often connects. When you don't fully trust yourself, you start searching for proof for other people. You look for signs that you're valued, signs that you're wanted, signs that you're enough. But when your confidence depends entirely on external validation, every small change feels like a threat. A good day makes you feel amazing. A small problem makes you feel like you're questioning everything. Your emotions become controlled by things you can't control, and that's not healthy. I think that's why some people can receive 10 compliments, but one negative comment stays in their mind all day. The positive things don't feel like confirmation, but the negative things feel like evidence. Evidence that fear was right. Evidence that maybe you're not good enough. Evidence that maybe people can see something wrong with you. But one person's opinion cannot define your entire identity, even if your brain tries to convince you otherwise. Another reason we overthink is because we confuse thoughts with truth. Just because you think something doesn't mean it's real. Your brain can create incredibility convincing stories. It can make you feel certain about something that has no evidence. I feel like they don't care. I feel like everyone noticed. I feel like I'm going to fail. The feeling is real, but the conclusion isn't always true. Imagine if every thought you had was written down and shown to you by someone else. You'd probably realize how many thoughts you believe without questioning. You'd see how many assumptions you make, how many situations you turn into something bigger than they actually are. Your mind is powerful, but power things still need to be controlled. I think one of the hardest battles for overthinkers is learning when to stop searching for an answer. Because sometimes the answer you're looking for isn't something that you can think your way into. Sometimes peace comes out of accepting that you don't know, that you can't control every outcome, that not every situation needs to be solved immediately. Because life isn't a puzzle where every piece eventually makes perfect sense. Sometimes people change, sometimes plans don't work, sometimes you make mistakes, sometimes things happen that you couldn't predict. And that's scary, but it's also what makes life meaningful. If we knew everything that was going to happen, we wouldn't really be living. We'd just be following a script. The goal isn't to never think deeply. Thinking deeply can be a strength. It can make you creative, empathetic, aware, thoughtful. The problem isn't having thoughts. The problem is when your thoughts have you. When you can't enjoy the present because you're trapped trying to control the future. When you can't appreciate what you have because you're analyzing what could go wrong. And I think that's where overthinking becomes exhausting. Because your mind is constantly trying to protect you from a future that doesn't exist yet. You're fighting battles that haven't happened, having conversations that haven't happened, feeling emotions for situations that haven't happened. And slowly, you forget to experience the moment you're actually in. I want you to think about this for a second. Let's say you post a TikTok that you think is going to be embarrassing. You feel like other people are going to judge it, and they might. But the thing is, people live their own lives too. They're not going to go home and think, oh, this guy just posted that cringe TikTok and talk to their friends about it all night. They have lives to live. Yeah, they might even chuckle about it, but the feeling's gone in a couple of seconds. They have bigger things to do than think about you and what happened that day. And that can apply to anything, not just that situation. Just remember, even if they do, it's only for a couple of seconds. I think one of the biggest ways to overthink our lives and how it's slowly affecting us is it slowly takes away our ability to act too. Not all at once, not in some obvious way, but through small decisions every single day. A message you don't send, an opportunity you don't take. An opportunity you don't take. A conversation you avoid. A goal you keep delaying. And the hardest part is, you usually don't notice it's happening. Because overthinking doesn't feel like giving up. It feels like being careful. It feels like you're waiting for the right moment. Waiting until you know enough. Waiting until you're confident enough. Waiting until everything feels perfect. But sometimes the perfect moment never comes. I think a lot of people believe confidence doesn't just be from overthinking. I read that completely wrong. Sorry. Let's try that again. I think a lot of people believe confident people don't overthink. They imagine confident people are just naturally fearless. They don't worry. They don't doubt themselves. They don't care what anyone thinks. But I don't think that's true. I think confident people have doubts too. They have fears. They have moments where they wonder if something will work out. The difference is they don't let those thoughts make every decision for them. They act even when they aren't completely certain. I think one of the biggest reasons overthinking has become so common too is because we live in a world where we're constantly comparing. Especially now with the whole online teens looks maxing situation. Because every day we're surrounded by other people. Their achievements, their relationships, their confidence, their success, their looks. And even when we know that social media only shows a small part of someone's reality, our brains still compare. Because comparison doesn't always happen logically. It happens emotionally. You see someone doing something you wish you were doing, and suddenly your mind starts asking questions. Why am I not there yet? Why does everyone else seem ahead? Am I wasting my time? Am I falling behind? And before you know it, you're no longer appreciating your own life. You're analyzing why it doesn't look like someone else's. I think that's where overthinking and comparison becomes dangerous. Because comparison creates questions, and overthinking tries to answer them. But most of the answers your brain creates aren't fair. You compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. You compare your doubts to someone else's confidence. You compare your beginning to someone else's progress. And then you wonder why you feel like you're not enough. I think the hardest thing about overthinking is that most people don't actually want to think this much. But I think one of the most important things to understand is that your brain isn't your enemy. Your thoughts aren't trying to ruin your life. Your mind is doing what it's designed to do. It's trying to protect you. It's trying to prepare you. It's trying to prevent pain. The problem is, sometimes protection turns into restriction. Sometimes your brain becomes so focused on preventing something bad from happening that it stops you from experiencing something good. Overthinking makes you believe that if you think about something enough, you can prevent it from hurting you. If you analyze every possibility, you'll never be surprised. If you prepare for every outcome, you'll never fail. If you understand every person, you'll never get rejected. But that's not how life works. No amount of thinking can give you the complete control, because life has always been uncertain. And maybe the goal was never to remove uncertainty. Maybe the goal was to become someone who can handle it. I think a lot of people spend years trying to create a life where they never feel uncomfortable. A life where they never fail, never get rejected, never feel embarrassed, never make mistakes. But the truth is, those moments are unavoidable. Everyone experiences them. The difference is whether those moments become something that stops you or something that helps you grow. I think about it every time you're worried about it. Like, think about when you're worried about you shouldn't be able to handle something. A difficult conversation, a big change, a mistake, a disappointment. At the time, it probably felt impossible, like you wouldn't know what to do. But then somehow, you figured it out. You adapted, you kept going, you survived something your mind told you wasn't possible. And I think we forget that. We remember the moments where we struggled, but we forget all the moments where we overcame those struggles. Maybe that's the big lesson when it comes to overthinking. You don't need to trust that everything will go perfectly. You need to trust that you'll be okay, even if it doesn't. Because that's real confidence. Not believing nothing bad will happen. Believing that if something bad does happen, you'll be able to face it. I think another important step is learning to separate thoughts from reality. Your brain might tell you they probably don't care, but that doesn't mean it's true. Your brain might tell you you'll fail, but that doesn't mean it's true. Your brain might tell you everyone is judging you, but that doesn't mean it's true. Thoughts are possibilities, not facts. And learning that difference can completely change the way you experience life. Imagine if every time your friend has a negative thought, you treated it as truth. They say, "I'm not good enough." You wouldn't immediately agree. You'd probably remind them of all the reasons they're wrong. You would show them things they can't see about themselves. But when it's our own thoughts, we believe them instantly. We give ourselves no distance, no understanding, no kindness. And I think we need to start treating ourselves the same way we would treat someone we care about. Because a lot of overthinking comes from being incredibly hard on yourself. You expect yourself to say the perfect thing, make the perfect choice, have the perfect reaction, never struggle, never fail. But you would expect that from someone else. So why do you expect it from yourself? I think one of the best things you can do when you feel overthinking is ask, can I actually do something about this? If the answer is yes, take action. If there's something you can fix, improve, or communicate, do it. But the answer is no, then maybe the healthiest thing is learning to let go. Because worrying about something you can't control doesn't prepare you, it only drains you. Sometimes you don't need another hour of thinking. You need a walk, you need a sleep, you need someone to talk to. You need to do something that brings you back to the present moment, because overthinking keeps you trapped between the past and the future. It makes you replay what has already happened, or fear what hasn't happened yet. And while you're stuck there, the present is passing by. I think that's one of the saddest things about overthinking. You can miss your own life while trying to plan it perfectly. You can miss conversations because you're analyzing them. You can miss opportunities because you're afraid of failing. You can miss happiness because you're worried about losing it. You can spend so much time preparing for life that you actually forget to live it. And I think that's the goal, to become someone who never thinks deeply. Deep thinkers often see things other people miss. They notice details, they care, they understand people, they create, they imagine. Having a thoughtful mind is not a weakness. The problem is when your thoughts stop being something you use and then become something that controls you. Your mind is a tool, a powerful one. But you are not every thought you have. You're a person who notices those thoughts. You're a person who decides which ones deserve your attention, and sometimes the strongest thing to do is not find another answer, it's to accept that you already know enough. You don't need to know everything, just to figure out how it will turn out. You don't need everyone to understand you. You don't need every decision to be perfect. You don't need to become a completely different person before you deserve a good life. You're allowed to figure things out as you go. You're allowed to make mistakes. You're allowed to not have all the answers. Because at the end of the day, life was never really meant to be completely predictable. The moments that matter mostly come from things we couldn't plan, the friendships we didn't expect, the opportunities we didn't see coming, the experiences we almost talked ourselves out of. Sometimes the best parts of life exist on the other side of uncertainty. So if you are someone who overthinks everything, I hope you remember this. Your mind is trying to protect you, but you don't have to let fear make every decision. You don't have to solve tomorrow today. You don't have to carry every possible outcome before it happens. Sometimes you just need to take the next step. Trust yourself. and believe that whatever happens, you'll figure it out. Because maybe the biggest thing holding you back was never the situation. Maybe it was the endless thoughts telling you why you couldn't handle it. And maybe the moment you stop fighting every thought is the moment you finally start living.